Hey everybody, welcome to Local Business Hacks Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Case, and I'm on a mission to help you. Every week, we're going to be talking to local business owners and experts to get their best tips, tricks, and hacks to grow your business. This show is designed to teach you, inspire you, and motivate you to take massive action and start to build your future-proof business. Whether you're just starting off or you're taking your existing business to the next level, this episode is for you. So let's get started. Hey, local business hackers. I'm your host, Carl Case, Head of Business Development at Referrizer, joined today by Seran Glanfield, President and CEO of Spring 3. Seran, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Of course. So Spring 3, super interesting name, but how did you get to this point? Owning your own consulting business? Talk to me about this.
That's right. So I've actually been, believe it or not, in the consulting and coaching business side of the boutique fitness market since 2013. Wow. So I'm going on 10 years of coaching studio owners now. And I don't know if you remember or were involved in the world of boutique fitness in 2013, but it was a very different world. We've evolved a lot. And I came into it because prior to beginning to coach studio owners, I actually was a Pilates teacher in New York City. And prior to that, I came into Pilates and teaching Pilates because I worked on Wall Street. I worked my tail off for a number of years and was burnt out on that whole hamster wheel. And I wanted to do something that was going to be more grounding and more enjoyable and a little bit of a better quality of life. And so I did the opposite of what I thought anyone that I would ever do, which was to go and get certified to teach Pilates, which was a whole different world for me. And this was back in 2008 in New York City. So there was a handful of Pilates studios in New York City. That was, I think, kind of the very beginning of that boutique fitness time. There were a handful of bar studios that were beginning to open up, but the bar scene was like, I'm talking about the bar scene from a fitness perspective was not as anywhere near as huge as it is today. And there were other studios that were opening and sort of dabbling in this boutique kind of fitness world. But the big gyms were still the major players, right? And so when I started teaching and I was involved in studios and I met a lot of folks who own studios, the business and marketing just was something that was kind of where my head goes. And so I just was helping out some friends and helping out with suggestions, and then essentially got hired by a handful of different people in London and New York to help them with their marketing and to help sort of put their business stuff together behind the scenes, because they were all fabulous teachers, highly talented, had invested a lot of their time and energy and a lot of money into their own training to be the best teachers, but their business didn't reflect that. And that, to be honest, like was one of the things that just like blew my mind at the time. And the Pilates world it's something different to everybody. And everyone has their own take on it and their own spin on it. You know, a lot of our boutique fitness friends will have that same experience as well. And so a lot of what I helped my studio owners to do in the beginning was to really think about how they can position themselves, how to talk about what they do, what their messaging looks like. And back then, there wasn't the software and the platforms available that are available now. So there's lots of different places to integrate that marketing message in the funnel. But at the time, it was a lot of word of mouth and a little bit of website and a little bit of Facebook. Like Instagram wasn't anywhere near as big as it was, and there was no TikTok or any of that. But over the years, I've evolved and I've worked with hundreds of studios all over the world, a lot in the Pilates bar, yoga, and spin space. And I help them with essentially crafting a marketing message and then integrating that marketing message into their business in a way that works for them and what their goals are. And then I also help them with all of those other pieces of the business puzzle, hiring a team, training a team, growth, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, thank you and congratulations to getting to this point where you're helping people that are entrepreneurs achieve their dreams, because so many studio owners are great teachers, but terrible business owners. And that just comes from their experience.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's not like you come out of the womb with all this information. You've got to go and find it and learn it. And there isn't a lot of options out there, and there hasn't been. And I think that once you have like the fundamentals, once you have the foundations, you can build on those. And it's just about getting your head around those. And then you can just layer into the next strategy and the next strategy and the next strategy. And I think one of the things that a lot of business owners and studio owners specifically have a hard time with is it feels very big and it feels like there's a lot, and there is a lot, but you don't have to do it all on day one, And so it's about figuring out which strategy is going to give you the bang for your buck. Like what's the low hanging fruit? What's the thing that's going to move the needle in your business? And that often looks different from business to business. No two businesses are the same.
And even if it is the same business and it's 3 miles apart, they might see a completely different customer walking through their doors.
Oh, 100%. 100%. So there's a few different things that kind of go into that sort of fundamentals. And one of them is knowing knowing what you do, knowing how to talk about it, knowing what your customer needs, and then having those tactics. It's about tactics. Once you have those two things, it's about thinking about what tactics are going to work to bring the clients in and what do I have to say to them when they get there,
Love it. Love it. Well, Seran, for people that, are in this space or looking to get into this space, how can they get involved with you in Spring Free?
Yeah. So I work with my clients in a couple of different ways. I have my marketing intensive program, and that is truly has brought, I think, more aha moments to my clients than anything else that I've helped them with, because it's one of those programs that gets you thinking about what you do in a way that, and out of your business or out of the studio in a way that I think nothing else really does. And inside of that program is where I help my clients to really think about how they want to position their business, what they want to be known for, and the way that they want to work with their clients, and sort of taking it back down to that. What is your belief, the problem you're solving, and why is it that you do what you do? And once you kind of have that foundation in place, then that really drives the way that you work with your clients, the programs you want them to do, how often you want them to come. And then when you have those two things, then you have something you're actually selling. And then you can think about pricing. And the pricing isn't coming from what that studio down the street does, but it comes from how valuable is that problem that you're solving to the people that you're trying to help solve it, right? And so we talk through all of these kind of pieces of the puzzle in the first half of the program. And then we dive into, in the second half of the program, all of the different options that you have to integrate that message into your marketing funnel, what you should say in what emails, at what point in the funnel, because a lot of that makes all the difference. People have to somewhat buy into a belief that you're going to do something differently for them before they think about price. And that's really important, because oftentimes that we're missing that first step and we just talk about price without talking about the transformation. What are people going to get out of their sessions, of their classes with you? And so we end up leaning on price a lot to drive sales, and price is a tool we have, but it's not the only thing that we have in our pocket to drive sales, to create connection, to spread word of mouth, to improve referrals, to all of those things, right? And so the marketing intensive is an 8-week program, and we go all in for those 8 weeks, and you come out of it with a marketing message and a marketing plan that's specific to your unique business, whether you're a class-based business or you offer one-on-one sessions as well. So that's kind of the first step. And then I also have an ongoing group coaching program, which covers marketing and then all of those other things. And so we focus on the 3 pillars: the top of the funnel, lead generation marketing, retention marketing, and then systems and management. And typically what I find is that many studio owners are good at 2 of those 3, but one of them is always a little bit lacking. And it really depends on the studio owner and the type of business that they have. So what I see is that often class-based businesses, so the bar studios, the spin studios, are really, really good at top of funnel visibility, getting their brand out there. They do the ads, they do the Google ads, they do the Facebook ads, they do the Instagram ads. They're out there, but they often struggle on the back end with retention. And then I often see on the flip side of that, my Pilates studios that have a lot of one-on-one sessions and they're focused on that are fantastic at nurture market. They're great at nurturing their clients. They're all in on their clients. They see them multiple times a week. They're one-on-one with them. And so they're really good at keeping clients sticky. Like a lot of my studios, their clients stay with them 5, 6, 7 years, right? We're not talking months, we're talking years. And so, but they have a hard time with knowing how to put themselves out there into the world with getting visibility. And so by having those 3 pillars inside of the program, I'm helping them develop the habit of thinking about those different areas of their business. And it's not just all about marketing. There's a lot that goes into training your team so that they know how to talk about what you do and how to work with your clients in a way that drives retention and is long-term focused. So that is a sort of shift that trajectory of your business, because you're now having someone, you show up for an hour a week We work through some of the things that are coming up right now. I have my studio owners think ahead to what's coming next. They're good with the recession. We've got it. We're all ready. So you have someone that's sort of thinking about your business with you and for you. So it creates a lot of momentum for the studio owners inside. And so that's how I work with my clients. And I will say that has come from putting those programs together, and the content has come from having worked and been a part of this industry for so long and seen it evolve and seen how businesses within it have evolved. So it's based on what I've observed studio owners needing.
Amazing. And a shout out to Referrizer as software has evolved, because you just hit the nail on the head: referrals, retention, and reputation. And that's what we've done as a core for the last 11 years. And if you focus on, yes, we have a lot of competition in the space and one of the 12 things that we automate, but you're only as powerful as the softwares or how you use the softwares and the people behind it. So some of your clients could be using us or using somebody else. And if they don't know how to set the system up properly or sending the wrong messages out at the wrong time, it could be a scary thing. So
yeah, and I think we have such power available at the fingertips with software like Referrizer. And to be able, when you use that to its max, it does so much of the heavy lifting for you. And I think one of the saddest things I see is one of the first things I do actually when I speak to studio owners, I say, okay, tell me what you're working with. What are we doing here? And then it's the checklist is, okay, have you done this? Have you done that? Have you optimized this? Because that's the low hanging fruit right there, because you do this once and it's working for you behind the scenes when you're doing your own workouts, when you're with your kids at home, when you're taking time out, The best
is when you ask those questions and the answer is, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
I think I did.
Let's take a look.
Yeah,
let's take a look.
Let's take a peek. That's so funny. Seran, transitioning a little bit, the title of our podcast is Local Business Hacks. And over the years, our listeners, we've enabled them to be successful through these hacks that everybody has. So I'm going to let you dive into some of the tips and tricks that you have for our world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because when we think about marketing and visibility, everyone comes to me and they say, I know I need to do more marketing, but I just don't like social media. And I say to them, well, that's fine, because that's not all there is to marketing at all. In fact, when you're a local business, truly, some of the best time you can invest is time that you can spend networking and meeting folks in your local community, right? And I think a lot of people have a hard time with that because we now are so online. We almost don't know how to introduce our business and don't know how to talk about what we do without feeling really, really, really weird. Who does that, right? But that's the best thing that you can do for your business, is to go and meet with other business owners who will also be in the same boat as you, who are also looking to make connections and form collaborations, and to go and introduce yourself, invite those people to your business, to your studio, get to know each other, and have the opportunity to perhaps co-host events, to sponsor different things together, to create other collaborations in some way that means that you're cross-advertising and cross-promoting your business and reaching its other audiences. But that's how, truly, when I say that's where you get the biggest return on the time, instead of taking 45 minutes to put together that reel, go walk around the neighborhood and go into those businesses that are close to you, no matter what type of business they are. It can be really, really beneficial. In fact, I've had a studio owner who opened their studio last summer, and she didn't set up her social media until kind of just before the studio opened. Wasn't actively posting to it, but she went to all the businesses around her. She had taken some postcards with a great introductory offer on it. She had tote bags made. She gave it to them and she walked around and she filled her schedule before she even opened, just from those conversations and from being seen and just connecting in a very organic, natural way. It wasn't anything. She wasn't coming in and saying, hey, come and book a 10-pack, come and buy a membership. She was saying, hey, just come in and I'll show you what it's all about. Stop by sometime. Here, feel free to just get in touch and we can set you up. So those sorts of conversations always have a lot of power to them. And so that's kind of a huge, I think, misconception, is that marketing is just social media, but it's not. There's a lot of networking locally that you can do, because if people know your name and know your face, even if they're not interested in what you have to offer, the next time they and their friends are talking about it, your name will come up, but only if you've made that introduction, so it feeds that referral.
I think the coolest part about that is if we were to pull up this studio's numbers, I can almost guarantee that she's had next to no attrition if that's how she acquired her members, was by grassroots.
Oh, her full classes are fully booked.
and she's not looking to digital to drive things. And I love that you're really, with me and many other pioneers in this space, are shifting the idea of having to consistently redo your memberships and resell memberships every 3-4 months to these clients because they were intrusively convinced on why they needed to come in, instead of attributing you to the brand, to your location, to giving you a try when they're ready.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's not to say that social media doesn't have a place. It does. But like you said, it is incredibly intrusive. And when you're building a brick and mortar studio, you're building a relationship business. That's what you are. You're in the relationship business. And if you're in fitness and you're in movement and you're in wellness, and you're a brick and mortar, you want to develop those long-term relationships with your clients. They're not buying a vacuum. This is a long-term relationship you want to have, and you want to see those people multiple times a week. So they have to trust you. They have to want to be around you. They have to feel like they're a part of something, which I think is very hard these days, especially now, to get with just social media alone. Name
of the podcast, You're Not Buying a Vacuum. It's great. Seran, give me another one of your tips and tricks that you use for your studios outside of really getting into the neighborhood, because that's where you're going to build that culture that everybody thrives on.
Yeah. And I think, you have to be able, you have to be able to talk about what you do in a way that is compelling, right? And this doesn't matter where you are, whether you are doing that online, whether you're on social media, whether you're walking into the boutique across the street and saying, hey, we're about to open. You have to be able to know how to introduce your business in a way that feels good to you, right? And we've all been sold stuff that we're we're not comfortable with being sold to at moments, and it's a complete turnoff. Like you don't want to go to that place. In fact, some people will actively avoid it because of any bad experience. And I think you have a duty to your business to be able to have some key phrases or key ways of saying and introducing yourself and what you do that makes it very easy for you to make these connections, right? And usually when you have those, it's not those sort of things that you're saying, how you talk about your business is not about sort of doing a big presentation, right? It's not about saying, hey, come and take kickboxing. Kickboxing is great because of this. And it's not about that. It's about saying, hey, we're opening a kickboxing studio down the street. Have you ever done kickboxing before? Would you like to come and try? And then, so that's kind of to preface everything is we have to be able to talk about what we do. And then within that, the next thing that I find is sort of where people kind of get stuck is, I would say, people have a very hard time knowing how or when to follow up and what to say in those follow-ups, right? So it's okay, so, you connected with someone, that boutique across the street, right? And then it's sort of but how did you leave that conversation? Did you have a next step? Did you have something in mind that you were going to suggest to them, right? Or did you just give them that nice little intro off a postcard and leave the building? In which case, there's no way to follow up. There's nothing you can do, right? And this goes, and I'm talking about going into other brick and mortar, but this goes for going into corporate businesses around you, which might be great referrals for you if they have a HR department that does that sort of thing. And there's a lot of ways, a lot of places you're going to be introducing your business. And I always say you have to have that next step, right? That next step. And the first time you speak to someone in introducing your business, you're not going to tell them, in fact, please don't tell them that don't worry, it's an unlimited free class for free, whatever, everything is free. That's not the first thing you're going to tell them. The first thing you're going to tell them is how you can help them and what you're going to help them to achieve, right? And then you let them understand and encourage and show them what that might look like. And then you say, here's a couple of options for what we can do next. Do you want to come in and try? I've got a couple of different ways we can do that. Or how about I check in with you in a couple of weeks? And this goes for whether you have a new client coming in, someone walking into the building, someone walking in and asking, how does this work? This goes for when you're doing outreach. This even goes for when you're on social media, right? Having that next step and that follow-up that in your head that you're what you're going to do is really important, but then you to communicate that in a way that tells them, hey, I'm thinking about this. I'm not just like throwing a bunch of crap at the wall to see what happens. I'm actually being strategic and thoughtful and smart about how I am running my business. And when people, that builds trust, that builds credibility. It shows people that you're informed about what they should be doing next. And it also shows them that you have done this before and you kind of know, like, by the way, you probably should come in for like a trial session before you join that membership, because let's just make sure, right? Like, why not?
I love that. The last thing that I would add, for if anybody's curious on my tips on that one, is just remember when you're going through these cadences on your leads, how hard it is for the first time that you wanted to go to the gym, and really rewarding that person and reminding them. And through that content that you're pushing out all the time, automate some of it, like what to expect the first time you come into the gym. Somebody would love to see a video of your gym and not the corporate gym that they're never going to go see that's 4 times the size of yours. So I think that getting personal, if you're on the phone with somebody and you're a trainer and not just somebody in a call center, tell them, hey, my name's Carl. I'm a trainer at this gym. I've been a manager here for 4 years. I came because I was a member and I absolutely loved it and wanted to have an impact like it was having on me. That person is going to be way more interested in you and your studio than, hey, how you doing? When can I schedule you to come in? Like, you do that on your app.
That's right. Totally. And it's about the connection. I mean, like I said, we're in a relationship business. So whoever you're talking to has to connect with you and really with your brand, right? So you have to be able to, your brand has to represent what that connection should look like. It also should represent what you care about your business. And it goes back to knowing what is the problem you're solving, what is the belief you have, what is the message you want to share. And like you said, it's about what stage do you share what with them? Because early on in that customer journey, people are buying more into a belief, right? And then once they believe that, that's when they're like, okay, tell me how much it's going to cost. But they're way more open-minded about the cost once they truly have bought into the belief that you can help them.
Yeah.
And then they're seeking, okay, well, when can I put it on my schedule? What membership should I buy? And then there's other things you can do down that path. But the customer journey is not starting with what's the price point? When's the class? It's starting with, oh my gosh, kickboxing can change my life. I think I should sign up. Okay, let me see. When can I because I'm going to make it work because I believe in it so much. So when can I make this work? And then let me see how am I going to make this work from a scheduling perspective and what makes the most sense from a price perspective.
And don't forget to ask for a referral.
That's right. Referrals.
Even when they're a lead, ask for a referral.
100%.
Seran, thank you so much for this information. You're a wealth of knowledge. For people that haven't gotten a hold of you, spring3.com and connect with Seran. She was more than welcome to helping you out in your own studio.
Yeah, absolutely. Get in touch. And there's a lot of content and resources on my site and also over on Instagram at Seran_spring_3. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Seran. We hope to have you again soon. Thank you so much. That's it for this week's episode. I hope you found it helpful. Be sure to head over to our site, local-business-hacks.com, to check out the show notes and send me questions or ideas for future episodes. If you want to grow your business, just like the people you've heard from here, follow Local Business Hacks Podcast and tune in for new tips, tricks, and tactics. Until next time, thanks for listening and keep hacking.